Right, welcome back. This is lesson 2, bouncing ball. Open the bouncing ball. Actually, it's squash and stretch 2, ball animation. Okay, the ball is set there. There's a keyframe there on frame 1. We have 31 frames in here, down here. Open the channel box. If your channel box doesn't open, just click on this icon here. So if your channel box isn't there, click on the icon in the top corner. If you look in the channel box with the ball control selected, the translate Y is set to 8.6. This is quite important. All we're going to do now is I'm going to drag the playhead, the grey slider, to frame 16. I'm going to select the Y axis, select the ball animation, select the Y axis, and we're going to drag it down so it hits just hits the ground here, frame 16. You can use your perspective, Alt, and mouse just to rotate around your view so you can see that it's actually sat right on the ground plane. It's just dropping below the ground plane there. If you press F, you will zoom into the object you've selected. So the ball animation I've selected there. Right, set a keyframe. Press S to set a keyframe there. Now, frame 16, we drag the time slider, the playhead and the time slider to frame 31. Right, the two things you can do here, you could either drag the ball up in the Y, or you can put a value up here in the translate Y. Remember what I said before, 8.6 is the value there, so key in 8.6. Now, drag out, so he's framing everything in view, and the ball is back in its position. Press S to set a keyframe there. Your transport controls go back to frame 1, press play in your transport, and now you've got a bounce in there. So that's set to looping, 24 frames a second, got a nice bounce in there. Right, press escape, stop the animation. We'll drag the playhead to frame 16. And an interesting thing that's set up in here, if we press F to frame up on this, interesting thing that's set up on here, we've got a ball bouncing, but it doesn't look as though it's bouncing. So now, what we do is, we select the ring there, which is your squash animation. Right, squash animation is selected now. Right, in squash and stretch over here, mouse over to squash and stretch, right click and go down and unlock selected. Now you notice it's gone from grey to red. That means it means it's unlocked now. So go to squash and stretch there. The squash and stretch, you notice, is highlighted in blue. Middle mouse. Right, squash and stretch is highlighted in blue. Just mouse over into the viewport, which is your window here. Now middle mouse. Just gently drag to the left, to the right. You'll notice you've got squash and stretch on the ball. The ball's hitting the ground. As it's hitting the ground, it's going to squash. That's up to you. If you're going to go really cartoony and exaggerate it, you can have it almost flat. What I suggest is something a little bit more subtle than that for starters. So we've got squash and stretch on there. Press S, which sets a keyframe on that. Drag back in the slider here. Drag the playhead back, zoom out, Now scrub the timeline. What you'll see is the ball is going to drag down, and then when it contacts the ground, it's going to bounce. It's going to stretch, squash and stretch. So it's going to squash at the moment. Okay. What isn't right here is the ball isn't, at this point, it's not actually contacting the ground. So at frame 16, just drag it down in the Y and press S. So now it's contacting the ground and it's squashing. So it's got to play, it hits the ground and it bounces. Press escape, go back to frame 1, drag it down to 16, just make sure it is contacting the ground. It's actually a little bit below the ground there. Just make sure it's contacting the ground. And just press S to set our keyframe. Okay, right. What's a little wrong about this is what Maya's doing now. On frame 1 there's no squash, on frame 16 we have some squash in there. Select the squash animation, which is the ring surrounding the ball there. So that's frame 16. Frame 15. Let's go to frame 15. Go to squash and stretch and set a value of 0 in there. Press enter. And now there's no squash. Frame 15 is just before it contacts the ground. So press S and we set a keyframe there. Scrub the timeline, scrub your playhead to the timeline, and you notice when it hits frame 16, when it actually contacts the ground, it's going to squash. It's going to squash, right? Again, we're not quite right there because it's still squashed. What the ball's going to do on its return, 17. What it's going to do on its return is it's going to go nearer to a round ball. So highlight squash and stretch over here again, middle mouse again. What we're going to do, we're going to just stretch it a little bit. Now, it's a little exaggerated here. What it does on its return flight upwards is it's got some stretch in it. Press S to set a keyframe at 17. Select the ball animation, which is your arrows in north, south or X, Y. Press W. We're just going to drag the ball so it's just off the ground at frame 17. Press S. We've got a keyframe there. So now we have a stretch on the ball. Scrub the timeline. Comes down, contacts the ground at frame 16, leaves the ground at 17. There we go. Leaves the ground at 17. So some stretch to it. Back up to 31, where it will become a perfectly round ball at frame 31. Press F to frame it on it. Oops. Now what's happened there? Let's have a look. Frame 31, we actually have a stretch of 0.1, so we do have a stretch there. Right, okay, so type in a value of 0 there, press enter, and now the ball is zeroed. Press S to set a keyframe there, and now we have the ball going back up. It goes back to its normal. Perfectly round ball. What we can do in there to make it more like, we can still set some in betweens there. It's stretching from 17. Got a stretch on there, and in between, Maya is in between there, making it a perfectly round ball. So somewhere in here, we can actually knock out that stretch a little bit. What was the value there? At 17. Value there at 17 was 0.1. Notice as I scrub through these, the value is gradually going from 0.1 all the way down to 0 in between here. We could either do it manually or we could set a value, so it's got to be 0 point. So we've got 0.070. Press enter. Set a keyframe there. Press S, set a keyframe on that. 0.70. 70. 0.7. Come out here and set a keyframe there. What I did then, you'll notice that instead of setting it at 0.7, I pressed S to set a keyframe, and it was keying it in. It was keying it in the window up there next to Squash and Stretch, which is what we don't want. Okay. So if we scrub through that and play it, we have a ball. Hits the ground. There's a proper bounce to it. What we can do now is press escape, and between 1 and 15, between 1 and 15, let's say frame 8, let's set a stretch on there, so the ball is accelerating, it's actually stretching a little. Middle mouse, stretch, I've actually got a stretch of 0.2 there. See if I can just drag it. 0.1. Press S and have a keyframe there. Go back to frame 1. Play your animation. And now, much more realistic ball. It is exaggerated a little bit. It's a bit of a cartoon ball. It's got more stretch than a ball would have. But you get the idea now. You get the idea of a bouncing ball. So, okay. That covers it for this session. You may want to try doing the same sort of bounce, but with a ball that's lighter than air. Don't be tempted to set the frame rate like this. Press escape to stop. Go back to frame 1. Don't be tempted, however, to go to preferences and set it to half speed. That's not what we're looking for. This is what it will play as, half speed. But what you need to do is have a look at it and see if you can go back to animation preferences, set it to 24 frames a second, save it. What you want to do now is have a go at animating the ball as though it's a lighter than air ball. It's a partially helium filled balloon. It will still fall to earth, but the bounce is going to be a lot lighter. So try that next time. You've done the simple bouncing ball through this exercise, so try it as a lighter than air bouncing ball. And that's it for this session, and I'll see you in the next video.